cold as a razor blade, as tight as a tourniquet, like the skin on a dying man. I don't want a piece of the world. I want the whole world. I make my own rules because it's much easier that way. Trust me.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for another episode of The Snake Pit. And of course, I could not do it without this gentleman right here, the Hall of Famer himself, master of the DDT, Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake, how are you, brother?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Everything's turning out sweet for little Snake.
Man, the big announcement last week that you've re-signed with AEW. I mean, the response online so far has been huge with people and their overwhelming support, especially for that idea of you bringing back the Snake Pit.
Yeah, hopefully that'll get somebody's attention. Maybe we can walk forward on that.
Oh, man, we can only hope, because holy shit, brother, that would bring a lot to the product, and I'm excited to see that. I'm also excited to get into what we're doing here today. Jake, as this episode comes out, the week that this episode comes out, it'll be the 35-year anniversary of WrestleMania 5 and your clash with Andre the Giant. So, brother, that's what we're going to be talking about today. I cannot wait to get into these notes. But before we do, I wanted to mention to our listeners that I am trying out something new. In case you didn't see the video online, I'm officially training to be a wrestler with the incredible trainers of the greatest wrestling brand in Pittsburgh, International Wrestling Cartel. So I can get even more perspective on what it takes to be a performer in the business, like the legendary talents such as Jake Roberts here. Man, IWC's trainers are just unbelievable. They train the likes of Britt Baker, Wardlow, and so many other huge names in wrestling. Couldn't be more lucky to be working with them. We'll be filming my experience in the ring and sharing it with everybody out there, so stay tuned for updates on that. Jake, as a wrestling genius and my best friend, what kind of advice do you have for me going into this new venture?
Buckle up.
Buckle up. Well, look, that's good advice, because I trained yesterday and I feel like I may have been in a car accident.
Yeah, that's what you should feel.
Man, I'm fighting my way through all of it. And look, guys, if you're in the Pittsburgh area, please make sure you don't miss IWC in Wheeling, West Virginia this coming weekend, April 5th. And another huge show on April 27th, the Superstar Showdown 5, which I will be present at. Get details at iwcwrestling.com. All right, Jake, with that out of the way, let's jump into these notes as we look back at a huge WrestleMania anniversary 35 years later. You know, following the Royal Rumble, it's reported that Dusty Rhodes officially resigned from the NWA and was set to return to Florida, where he had purchased 60% of the nearly dormant Florida Championship Wrestling territory. You know, Dusty is a legendary guy and a major figure in the NWA, but I've heard some folks say that he could be tough to work with and had a tendency to position himself at the expense of other talents. In your experiences around Dusty, would you say that you viewed him as one of the boys or more of a political office figure?
Dusty knew how to book Dusty. You know, and he's a great talent. I mean, thank God he wasn't a piece of shit. Did not know what he was doing. He knew what he was doing, man. And he could work with just about anybody if he wanted to and make money. You know, I always found him easy to work with. Issues here, but you know, maybe I wasn't in the position to cause issues.
Gotcha. Okay, so you would have been around him primarily during your time in Charlotte?
In Florida.
In Florida, that's right. Okay, during all that stuff with Kevin Sullivan.
Right.
Okay, so you didn't really necessarily have to experience it. You weren't around him for a super long time. But yeah, that's always been the rap on him. Like, boy, great wrestling mind. However, he's going to make sure that Dusty gets over.
Oh, yeah, he does that.
I mean, when you hear about him starting his own wrestling territory back in these days, do you feel like, I mean, a guy like Dusty Rhodes, his experience, a big success incoming, or maybe not so much in those days?
I think it was bad timing.
Why is that?
It just wasn't ready for it. You know, Florida had been twisted upside down and wrung wet, man, by then. You know, once Florida Championship Wrestling went down, it went down hard, man. you know, and they took all the TVs off of it, and that experience was gone. And you got to have television, man.
Man, it's sad to see the state of it in those days, especially after what it was, what a huge wrestling territory it had been. So yeah, it's a bummer. Well, Dusty isn't the only departure from NWA at this time, as J.J. Dillon makes the jump to the WWF, and it's reported he'll be working in an office role as an assistant booker and as a point of contact, possibly to bring more talents from NWA to WWF. I know J.J. was a journeyman wrestler before he became a manager. Jake, did you get a lot of time around J.J. Dillon?
I actually wrestled J.J. Dillon.
Did you really?
Yeah, in my early days.
What do you think of his work?
Mediocre at best.
Maybe that's why he became a manager.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have heard people say over the years, though, that, like, man, one of the best bump takers ever out there. Was that your experience with him?
Yeah, he can take bumps, man.
He was entertaining. He would even incorporate some of that as a manager, which was always fun to watch.
Yeah, you sure as hell did, man.
Now, I believe he would go on to work in a talent relations role with the company.
Yeah.
What do you remember about dealing with him in that capacity as like a booker talent relations guy?
I had no dealings with him at all.
Really?
You know, he wasn't there very long.
Okay, so talent relations, but didn't have many relations with you over the course of that period of time. Well, also another note here surrounding this time period. Sadly, just before Mania in 1989, Paul Boesch is going to pass away from a heart attack. Jake, what can you tell us about Boesch as a promoter and as a man?
The greatest promoter man that ever came along.
Wow.
He was so good to people, man. He treated you fairly. He treated you like a man. You felt like you were doing something when you were working for him, man. It was special. You know, and his manner and the way he treated you, he put out the utmost respect for the athletes, and he was very gracious when it come to payoffs too.
So I know that during your time with Mid-South, you would go down to Houston and work for Boesch here and there. And so, like, you know, going from Bill Watts, who maybe you didn't have a great relationship as a promoter, down there to Boesch, was there an opportunity for you to just stay in Houston and work for Boesch?
No, because he's only running the one show.
Oh, shit. Okay. So good payoffs, but not enough to sustain you all by itself.
No, not at all.
Well, it was always rumored that Gino Hernandez was Bosch's illegitimate son. Jake, you got to know both guys really well. Any truth to the rumor?
I believe so.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. A lot of similarities between the two of them and their personalities?
Yeah.
Does make you wonder.
Certainly does, man. I don't think there was any room to wiggle with that one.
Well, there's another big piece of news from this time that I would absolutely love to get your take on, Jake. We have this from the 2/20/1989 Observer. The big media story in wrestling this week is that the ultimate kayfabe violation has taken place courtesy of Titan Sports and Vince and Linda McMahon. Titan admitted that pro wrestling was fake and that the competitors do everything they can to avoid hurting one another in a New Jersey State Senate hearing on Thursday in hopes of getting pro wrestling taken away from the authority of the State Athletic Commission, and so state law would no longer mandate a doctor in attendance at ringside during pro wrestling exhibitions. Brother, after all these years of protecting kayfabe on your behalf, and I'm sure on behalf of so many other guys you saw, guys getting fired in Mid-South after losing a fist fight at the bar, stuff like that. Now here's the most powerful man in wrestling publicly breaking kayfabe. What do you remember about hearing this?
Oh, I remember hearing it, man. We were all like, are you fucking kidding me? You know, when you look at it, you say, wait a minute. You're doing this so you don't have to have a doctor at ringside.
Yep.
Well, that's not fucking good, you know. But the sad thing was, those doctors they had, half of them weren't doctors. They were fucking veterinarians, wannabe doctors. Maybe they'd worked in the back of an ambulance at one time.
Oh, Lord.
Things like that. And they got paid a pretty good hunk of change, too.
Man, it's crazy. I know it's a huge business expense for Vince to, have to pay these buildings and have to pay to have these doctors come in and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, it's a work. It's predetermined. However, you guys are taking some big risks with your bodies. Maybe not a bad thing to have a doctor present.
No, it'd be a great thing, man. That's one thing I like about AEW is they have a doctor present. And they take care of you, man. If somebody's hurting, they've got a chiropractor there waiting to adjust them. They've got a doctor there waiting to tell them what to do, where to go. So, they check people out. You have to be cleared by the doctors to get back in the ring after a concussion or something, or any type of injury. They make you go through the hoops, man, before you can get back in that ring. Because lots of times, it's the doctor's job is to protect the athlete from himself.
Yep.
Because guys want to get back out there sometimes before they're ready, and it's a shame. I get it. I get why we do it, but it's wrong. So AEW is doing it right.
Man, a class organization that really cares about their talents. You've got to give it up to AEW. That's incredible.
Absolutely.
Now, when it comes to the cardinal rule of breaking kayfabe, though, I mean, I think that the broader audience by this time probably suspected that wrestling was predetermined. But still, it's like, this is the cardinal rule, and the most powerful man in wrestling is breaking it. How did you feel about that aspect of it?
I didn't like it, man. And to this day, I still kayfabe people.
Do you really?
Yeah, I still do it.
So when you were like marching around as a heel there with Lance Archer, if somebody comes up to you in the airport, you slap them, right? Get them away from.
No, I don't. For Christ's sakes, I headbutt them.
Oh well, that's even better.
I'm kissing them, I just a short little headbutt,
See, that's masterful heel work right there. The headbutt.
You're in the eye, something simple.
You got to get one of those Jake squirt heads like we talked about and start squirting people again.
That's good. That'd be good as gold, man. Fill it full of piss.
There you go. You can tell people it's my piss. Don't wash that shirt. That's Jake Roberts' piss.
Good shit.
Well, after the Rumble, it's made official that WrestleMania 5 will be at Trump Plaza again. Jake, we discussed on our WrestleMania 4 episode that the crowd was not enthusiastic throughout the event due to the likelihood that, there was a lot of comp tickets for high rollers and businessmen who weren't necessarily wrestling fans. What did you think when you heard that you were headed back to Atlantic City?
I was like, oh my God, not again. Because it was tough, man. It was a tough crowd. But WrestleMania 5, it was better.
I will say I watched back WrestleMania 5 in preparation for this, and dude, that crowd was absolutely dead for most of WrestleMania 4. It seemed like the fans must have flocked to the building this time around.
Yeah, the fans are there.
After WrestleMania 3 and the reported 90,000 fans, did it feel like kind of a huge downgrade to do WrestleMania in such a small venue?
It kind of made us feel like, what the hell's wrong? We were all it was a big letdown, man.
I can't imagine, because you're in that massive dome, and by the way, sold the place out. And you've got all these people surrounding you. There's that incredible view of you. It's like a huge zoom out of you riding to the ring on that cart, and there's just thousands of people surrounding you. And now it's very compact and small. And at one point you're walking down these steps, and the fans are just they could just touch you. They could grab your bag, pants you. They were just, everybody was right on top of you. It had to feel very weird.
It did feel weird, man. It just didn't feel. It didn't feel like gold, The WrestleMania 3 was gold, man. Gold and silver all the way. But 4 and 5, man, it was a huge letdown.
We will get to I'm sure a lot of folks hear this and they're like, yeah, why did they do it in the smaller venue? We're getting to the reason why here shortly. A few interesting things happen along the way as you're working house shows with Andre. In one instance, you're going to team up with Tito Santana to take on Andre and Rude, which is notable because Tito was already in a tag team of his own with Rick Martel. Right. Safe to assume that this random pairing was done to give Andre a little break, probably?
Yeah.
spend a little bit more time on the apron, not have to go in there and bump. Every time I talk to DiBiase about Tito, he sings his praises. How are your experiences working with him in either a tag team or singles?
Absolutely, man. Tito's a class act, brother. He can go out there and get it done at any time.
That's what everybody says, like a hell of a worker, probably honestly a pretty underrated worker. And I don't know if people talk about that guy.
Absolutely.
I just read a report that America is now in more credit card debt than ever before, more than $1.1 trillion. You know, my grandfather used to say, there's no stress like money stress, son. Well, are you feeling that right now? Let me help. You've got a friend in the mortgage business in me, and I've helped families just like yours save hundreds of dollars a month. Seriously, we've helped listeners to this podcast save up to $800 a month. At SaveWithConrad.com, we routinely help our podcast listeners consolidate all of their high interest rate credit cards into just one much lower monthly payment. Would you like to lower your monthly payments? Wouldn't it be nice to skip your next 2 house payments? Are you finally ready for some breathing room and peace of mind? Start saving money today with your friend in the mortgage business, me, at SaveWithConrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket. And if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. You see, at SaveWithConrad.com, we don't say no. We say not yet, but here's how. We want to be your mortgage advisor for life. So find out how easy it is to finally get rid of your credit card debt once and for all, get a much lower monthly payment, and even skip your next 2 house payments. Let's find out how much money you can save for free at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 32416, equal housing lender, SaveWithConrad.com.
The other notable thing that happened along the way is apparently you'll be bit by Damien on a show in Los Angeles, and it actually draws a pretty significant amount of blood based on the reports. Yeah. Now, this is notable because you're working with Andre, and the storyline, of course, was that you're terrorizing him with the snake, and now the snake is drawing blood, biting you. Nobody's smarting that snake up, huh?
Nobody's smarting the snake up, but the truth is he bit Andre first.
Okay.
He bit Andre in the shoulder and broke his fangs off. So when he bit me, he had these jagged fangs that just ripped the shit out of my hand.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, it was nice. But I went back to the locker room, man. I'm like, I got to go see Andre to see how he's doing. And I was like, fuck, I hope he's not pissed at me, you know? So I opened the door. I'm like, Andre, you okay? Yeah, boss, I'm good, you know? And about that time, Rick Rude walks up to him and goes, Andre, what's this? And he grabs the fucking fang and pulls it out of him. Andre laughed and said, snake is hungry.
Well, there's all the evidence you need that Andre wasn't really necessarily afraid of these snakes, huh?
He wasn't, man. Are you kidding me?
So Jake, you're out there in the middle of a match. The snake with now jagged teeth bites you, lays you open. How bad was the cut? Stitches?
Stitches.
How many?
9.
Okay. I mean, in the moment, you know, I'm sure adrenaline is pumping. Did you even notice it?
I noticed it right away because I felt it. When it ripped, I felt it.
Oh God, yeah. I guess it would be more of a rip than like a clean tear, wouldn't it? Or clean kind of a cut on you, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, the snake bites you, but what do? You jerk away.
Oh, okay.
That's when it rips.
Holy shit, man! Not always glamorous to be carrying around a snake, huh?
No. Yeah, you want to be a star here? Carry this around for a while. Okay, you get me.
How often were you getting bitten by these snakes overall?
Averaged out to probably 2 times a year.
Okay.
Maybe 3 times a year.
Now, was it something that you were doing, or is it just like random aggression from these snakes?
Random aggression. You know, people thought Damien was one snake. Damien was only good for about 10 days.
Wow.
And then they'd send me another one. Well, sooner or later, I'll get a bad one. You know, it's just a numbers game, you know. And I guess, the snake's having a bad day and he takes it out on me.
Some snakes are just assholes, man.
You got that right.
Well, an interesting new wrinkle is added to the angle between you and Andre as Heenan reveals on the Brother Love show that Andre has been hypnotized into no longer fearing snakes. Brother Love would present a snake in a bag to prove it, and Andre would back off with Heenan making some excuses for him. So, Jake, first of all, what do you think of the hypnotism angle?
It's cute. That's all. It was cute. Gives the people something to think about. Anticipation. That was a big question mark. Is this going to make a difference? That's all. It was good TV.
I thought it was a really smart idea because it's really outside the box thinking. But
Sure.
they kind of fucked it up for night one because they proved that he is still afraid of the snake right then and there. Like, wouldn't it make more sense to bring that to Mania?
No, you got to do it before.
Why is that?
Well, you got to do something to assure that I'm not getting murdered.
Ah, okay. So keep the fans thinking that you stand a chance because he is still afraid of snakes.
Exactly.
I'm with you. Well, it'll be announced that Big John Studd is going to be the guest referee for your match with Andre, and there would be some speculation in the Observer that his work had left WWF officials disappointed, and that might be why they put him in this position. What did you think about having Studd assigned to the match in that role?
Well, at first I was glad about it.
Really?
Yeah, but then as I got closer to it, I found out that Andre really didn't like Studd at all. He couldn't stand John Studd.
Even to that day?
Even to that day, John had said something in an interview called Andre a freak.
Oh, boy.
And that he was the only giant, true giant, that Andre was a genetic freak. And it left a bad taste in Andre's mouth.
I'll bet.
And Andre punished him, in the match.
What does it look like when Andre decides to punish you in a match?
Oh, fuck. Are you kidding? It's horrible. I mean, I'm there hoping I don't get killed by John Studd's body parts that are going to fly off of it. And Andre would shove Studd, and Studd would shove into me or try to reach out and grab me. Fuck, man, it was rough.
Holy shit, man.
It was rough.
A couple big dudes like that, I think I'd be just making for the low ground, get out of the damn ring.
Oh, man, I wanted to.
I've also heard about Andre when he doesn't like somebody fucking with them during the match. I know, obviously he'd give you the giant haircut and stuff.
Yeah.
What other stuff was he doing? I heard he had like a gross strap or something he'd put on somebody.
He'd pull his strap off and choke you with it, except he'd put it in your mouth.
Ugh.
That strap that is full of piss and sweat and God knows what else. I know he got hacksaw with it one time, man. Just fun. Hacksaw damn near puked. It was nasty.
Like if Andre is not diligently washing that every night when he gets to the hotel, that thing is just disgusting.
He never washed it.
Oh God, so gross.
He just took it off and threw it in his bag.
Guys, if you want to think about what that's like, why don't you stick a dirty sock in your mouth? Probably pretty similar.
That's not even close.
Not even as bad.
No, God, no.
Ugh, Lord.
Got to think about somebody's panties that weighs about 400. That have been worn for a week.
I don't want that imagery in my head. What did Hacksaw do to Andre?
Not a damn thing.
So Andre's just having some fun.
Yeah.
So Jake, for context, we're back on Studd. For context, in a normal match with a normal referee, what kind of duties does the referee undertake when it comes to managing the match, calling spots, timing, stuff like that?
Well, the referee's very important. He's got to have some type of order in the ring. If he doesn't have order in the ring, the match is not going to be good. So he's got to be respected for being a referee. The heel's got to back off, at the right time. And it's very important to have a good referee. John Studd was not a good referee.
Right, because so he's massive for one thing, so that eliminates one aspect of having a ref. But then it's like, he can't mess with timing and stuff like that, can he?
He can get down quick on the mat and count 1, 2, 3. Hell, both guys would be back to their feet, and John would still be flapping like a seal.
The other thing that we hear is that, like, when it's time to wrap up the match, or like, okay, it's cues and stuff like that, the ref is pretty integral, right?
Yeah.
So, like, having a guy like John out there who's just one of the boys, like, it's got to fuck up a lot of stuff when it comes to how the goes down.
It did, because of course he's trying to protect himself from Andre. That was the big thing.
Right.
So he had to keep away from Andre.
So he can't even focus on his job as a ref. He's, trying to not get murdered by the real giant there.
Exactly.
Well, Jake, on 5 occasions, can't wait to hear you talk about this. On 5 occasions on the way to WrestleMania, you'll find yourself teamed up with none other than the Ultimate Warrior against Andre and Rick Rude. Jake, we know that you don't like tag team matches. How painful was this shit for you?
It was painful, man. Because my job was to go out and sell and turn it over to the Warrior. Lots of times, his comeback would be over by the time I got stood up in the corner.
Holy shit, man.
He'd come in and do, his running thing with 2 or 3 clotheslines on Rude, then he'd hit Andre, and Andre would just stagger, Then he would tag out.
So after doing all the heavy lifting, you've got about 15 seconds before he tags you back in.
Exactly.
Oh my God. That had to be incredibly frustrating.
It was.
Now, and that was, so 5 occasions you did this, and same match every single time, where you just do all of it and then tag him in for a minute.
Yeah.
At this point, is it like you and Jim have any relationship, or it's just see you in the ring, we'll figure it out sort of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
It had to be a little bit frustrating that this guy's getting protected and pushed while you are out there doing all of the damn work.
All the damn work, man.
Brutal. Well, unfortunately, it was only 5 times. This was not a long-term deal. Run DMC is there. Roddy Piper is back, and Morton Downey Jr. is doing a segment with Piper and Brother Love at WrestleMania 5. Jake, any memorable interactions with any of these personalities?
No. I just kept away from him, brother. I was doing my thing.
So you were not Jake the Snake Roberts is not a Run DMC fan?
No.
I'm shocked.
Oh, don't be.
So WrestleMania is going to draw a record money despite the much smaller crowd than WrestleMania 3. And the reason for that is that they jacked up the ticket pricing. So this is going to be one of the biggest live gates ever in the history of wrestling. And they drew 70,000 less people or something like that. So pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah, it is pretty wild that they jacked the money up. But look at it today, what it's gotten to.
Oh, yeah.
2
nights in an outdoor stadium.
Yeah.
Dude, wild. Another celebrity of note, of course, is going to be the future president of the United States and the owner of the building you were in, Donald Trump. So, Jake, after terrorizing his wife the year prior, did you have any other interesting interactions with Trump?
Not too much, man. We just jawed a little bit, and I got along with him great. Man. He loved me.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, he loves me, man.
What was it that connected you two right away?
I terrorized his wife. He absolutely loved it.
Pretty incredible.
He told me that she tried to get some of her security to come to my room and beat the shit out of me.
No shit.
Yeah, man. She was going to get payday.
Did the Don veto that shit?
Yeah.
So the future president of the U.S. saved your ass.
Damn sure did.
How about that? And guys, let's just think about this for a minute. Like Jake the Snake Roberts. I mean, you're like a real journeyman in wrestling. Here you are, you're bumping up against Muhammad Ali, Alice Cooper, and now you're with a guy who's going to be the leader of the free world, 30 years later.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, bro.
Yes, insane. Well, look, I didn't want to let it slip by here that Terry Taylor is rebranded as the Red Rooster in the fall of 1988 after Bobby Heenan became his manager. Normally getting managed by Bobby would probably be considered a good thing, except early in his Red Rooster stint, Taylor was described by Heenan as a novice wrestler who could not navigate his way through matches without constant instruction from Heenan. He's going to defeat Heenan at WrestleMania 5, but the match only lasts 31 seconds. So, man, the gimmick is bad enough, and now he's not even really getting a match at Mania. What the hell did Terry do to piss off the office?
I don't know, bro. I don't know. Cock-a-doodle-doo, any cock-a-doo.
In your opinion, was his whole run here a rib, or do you think that Vince just has weird ideas for what might work?
It was a rib. It was a rib on Terry. It was for our entertainment.
Now, I know that, you were once told that Terry Taylor was higher up in the pecking order than you in Mid-South. So personally, how did you feel when you were seeing Terry floundering on the biggest stage in wrestling?
I loved it. Of course I loved it.
I know a lot of fans are going to hear that and say like, oh, well, that's hateful. But man, it's like, this is a super competitive business. You got kind of pushed down in favor of this guy. And now here he is on a way bigger stage. And man, you can't blame you for feeling at least a little bit satisfied.
A little bit satisfied. I know, and I think most of the fans know that Terry was a good wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
He could go out and give you a good match anytime you wanted. This Red Rooster thing was just, wow. He pissed somebody off, is all I can say.
In your opinion, is there any way to make that gimmick work?
Fuck no.
It's fucked from day one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you said it, Terry, good looking guy, good worker, decent on the mic. Like, why do you think Vince is cutting off his nose to spite his face here?
I have no idea, man. I have no idea. I sure like to know, but I don't know.
I want to ask you to try to climb inside the brain of Mr. McMahon and probably be a weird place.
It's a dangerous place these days.
It sure as hell is. Before we get into your match, though, Jake, let's talk about Hogan and Savage. A year-long program gets its big moment here. The Mega Powers explode at WrestleMania, and Hogan will defeat Savage to win the belt. Meltzer asserted that it was the wrong move because Savage was so red hot as a heel champion. It is traditionally a babyface territory, though. Jake, do you feel it was the right move to go put the belt back on Hogan?
I think you had to make the fans happy.
I mean, especially at a big show like that, Hogan's a proven draw.
That's your blow off. Mania is your blow off. So you gotta do what's right.
And I don't think it hurt Savage.
Fuck no.
I mean, a year-long story, though, crazy, pretty unheard of, especially nowadays. But all that being said, 35 years later, WrestleMania between Cody and Roman Reigns, that's a year-long storyline that seems like we're going to get our blow-off here at Mania. Do you think that these should happen more often, or is once every decade or longer the way to go with these long storylines?
I love the long storyline. Absolutely love them. So that's the way they should be.
So if it were up to you, would every storyline have like 8 months or a year or longer?
Not every storyline. No.
But main event?
Some of your main events. It just depends on the storyline. Is it something that can last that long? Are the guys able to carry it that long? You got to look at your talent that's doing it.
One that jumps out at me for you is you and Steamboat. I think there was a lot of tread left on the tires.
Yeah. And me and Savage.
Hell yes. Man, that one, if circumstances had been different, easily a year-long storyline.
A year.
Well, let's get to your match. It's the anticipated blow-off between you and Andre, and it's at the biggest show in wrestling. Doesn't get much better, does it, dude?
Not for me.
Let's have a look at the final moments of this one. Okay, Jake getting up onto the apron here. Big John Studd's trying to back Andre off. Andre's got you in a headbutt. And, Oh boy, what a bump down to the outside there. You're down and out. Oh, but Big John having some words with Andre. Holy smokes, you can really see the difference in size between these two. By the way, guys, you can watch this match in its entirety on WWE Network. So definitely go and check it out to kind of get yourself set up here for what we're talking about. Jake, you're getting back up to your feet. Heenan's trying to point it out, but you're going for that bag with Damien. All right, Big John. Looks like he's going to be fair. He's trying to get you to knock it off. Ooh, and he gets a squisher from Andre in the corner. Oh, he's not putting up with that shit. Big John turns around and gives Andre a shove. Meanwhile, you're out there trying to decide if you want to bring out Damien or not. Oh, DiBiase and Virgil come out. Ted is that bastard. He's grabbing the bag, and he is running way up the aisle there. You're giving chase. Back in the ring. Oh, Andre's got a hold of Big John Studd. We got a split screen going on. You're brawling with DiBiase, and you've got Damien back. Andre's beating the dog shit out of Big John Studd. Oh, he's choking him. And here you come with that bag. There we go. That'll scare Andre off. You throw the snake into the ring. Andre bails. Yeah, he's gone. That's enough for Andre. All right, your hand is raised in victory. And that's it. Jake the Snake Roberts defeats Andre the Giant at WrestleMania. All right, 35 years later, Jake, anything jump out at you?
Yeah. I was getting my ass kicked. And I'll tell you, DiBiase didn't do me any favors either, grabbing that snake and running way down the aisle.
Oh, because you were already tired.
Yeah, I was already tired. Now I got to grab it and carry it back.
Do you think that was a rib from DiBiase?
Sure it was.
You know, later on this same week as this episode drops, I'm going to be talking to Ted about this event. So I'm going to make sure to ask him if that was a rib on you.
Yeah, dude. If he says it wasn't, call him a liar.
I mean, as you mentioned it, pretty clear-cut setup for you and Ted, and Andre was stud coming out of this. How do you feel about moving on to a program with DiBiase coming out of this one with Andre?
That was good news for me, man. That was great news for me.
Just because of the nature of the matches with Andre, where it's not going to be a technical situation?
Right. You know, and I wanted to get in there and go, man.
Mm.
And DiBiase, I could do that with. You know, I'd had my run with Andre. I think it was time for it to blow off. And, hey, look at me. WrestleMania 5. Who did I beat? Andre the Giant.
Dude, like, what a thing on your resume. One of the biggest WrestleManias of all time. And you beat a dude who's become a true, like, he transcends wrestling culture. It's, you know, pop culture icon.
Absolutely.
Well, if you had it your way, would anything have been different about this match?
Sure, I would have press slammed Andre.
Wouldn't that be a nice finish?
Yeah, you know, one-handed.
Do you think a clean finish would have made more sense? You just get him with the DDT?
I think the right thing was done.
Yeah.
Got enough out of it.
You protect Andre, let him keep his heat going into his thing with Stud.
There's no need to beat Andre.
Well, how about looking back on the entire rivalry with Andre? Anything you'd change?
No. He did a fantastic job, man. Being limited, I was able to work around him, and that was the reason it was done, because they knew I could work around him.
You sure as hell did. And man, it's a great rivalry, one that fans look back on fondly all these years later. So it was awesome getting to talk to you about it. And that's going to wrap us up for this week and your rivalry with Andre. That, of course, was the blow off. Yep. Next week, we continue the story of your return to Mid-South Wrestling in early 1985. Your feud with the cockadoodle-doo himself, Terry Taylor. You're going to be working with Brad Armstrong. Another match against Shawn Michaels, this time in a tag team, and much more. Brother, I cannot wait to look back on all that.
Oh, let's do it, man. It's going to be fun.
Okay, guys, got to do my usual reminder. If you're looking to attract that 25 to 54-year-old male demographic to your product or service, why haven't you gone to advertisewithsnake.com? Jake is a legitimate household name. Guys, he just re-signed with AEW. That means he's going to be appearing on TV. And let me say, he's still over like Grover, and he will put over your stuff to the audience that you're targeting. So look, if you want some evidence that it works, just listen to our show. We routinely advertise for the same businesses because they come to find that what we do here on the show works. Head over to advertisewithsnake.com and team up with Jake the Snake Roberts. JakeTheSnakeShop.com is your destination for rare signed collectibles straight from the man himself. Autograph figures, shirts, 8x10s. Look, I mean, wrestling trading cards have never been hotter, and Jake is signing one over there on his site right now. And rumor has it there are more trading cards to come, so stay tuned and make sure you don't miss out. Go right now to JakeTheSnakeShop.com and add a new centerpiece to your wrestling collection. Get over to cameo.com/Jake Snake for a personal message from the Hall of Famer. Here's a recent review from Todd. Awesome. Done in a day and done thoughtfully. Thanks, Jake. You're going to make a grown man happy today. Guys, all of the reviews are like this. Go and have a look. If you're a lifelong fan, you've just got to get a cameo from Jake. Again, it's cameo.com/Jake Snake. Go and order yours right now. It's springtime, and yep, it's warming up, but you know you need stylish coffee mugs all year round, and we've got exactly what you need right now at the Snake Pit page at boxofgimmicks.com. Throwback Jake styles from his early days in wrestling and a cool-looking cartoon Jake that's going to transport you right back to 35 years ago, the late 80s. How about the badass WrestleFest-inspired design with a little Snake Pit twist? If you're like me and you miss that fashion from the 80s and 90s, you are going to love the style that we have on our page. Again, it's the Snake Pit page at boxofgimmicks.com. Just go have a look. I think you're going to find something you like. Check us out on YouTube. It's youtube.com/@SnakePitPod for short clips from the show, highlights, and exclusive content. Guys, back in December, we dropped that WCCW bonus episode with Baby Doll on our page, and it's a YouTube exclusive. That means you're never going to hear it on the normal podcast feed. So go check that one out. And just a heads up, we aren't done with YouTube exclusive episodes that will provide even more context behind some of the stories Jake tells here on the show. You've got to get over there. It's youtube.com/@SnakePitPod. And while you're there, just do us a big favor and get subscribed. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, please like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review on all platforms because that helps Jake and I out a whole bunch. And just a reminder, you can get the Snake Pit and all the other shows in our network early and ad-free at adfreeshows.com. And it starts at just $9 per month, which is less than 15 cents per episode each month. Plus, we've got tons of bonus content, interactive chats with your favorite hosts and wrestling personalities, the legendary Lex Luger, the Sandman, the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan, David Crockett, and so many more personalities appear exclusively on adfreeshows.com. So if you haven't subscribed, you are missing some amazing content. I've also got to ask you guys to check out my other YouTube page at youtube.com/@everybody'sgotapod. It's the YouTube page for my podcast with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, but now the page is shared by Hacksaw Jim Duggan. That means that you get new episodes of Everybody's Got a Pod, YouTube exclusive clips from Ted that drop every single Monday, and highlights from the show. And you also get the Hacksaw Hour with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. That podcast with Jim is a YouTube exclusive podcast, which means that the only place you can hear stories from Jim's podcast is on that page. Jim also provides clips of his day-to-day life, and recently we posted a video of his trip with his family to Disney's Animal Kingdom. Did I mention that we've done numerous giveaways there for subscribers and plan to do many more? Stop missing out. Get subscribed right now at youtube.com/@everybody'sgotapod. Catch Jake on X at Jake Snake DDT, on Instagram at Jake the Snake DDT, and on Facebook at Real Jake the Snake. You can follow me at Marcus P. D'Angelo on X, and you can follow the podcast at Snake Pit Pod on all social media platforms. Man, fun looking back to 1989, 35 years ago, to a big anniversary there at WrestleMania, and a pretty monumental match from Jake's career, one that I know that he's really proud of. Guys, we're going to continue all the great stories from Jake's career week by week, and we cannot wait to see you guys next time right here on The Snake Pit.